This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
It's time for another edition of Mase in Your Face. Now, along with college football immortality, Glenn Mason, here's Dan Barrera.
Are you nuts?
Brought to you by Jack's Cafe.
Are you nuts?
Don't forget, Pat Kessler will join in studio about 5:30 today. We already chatted with Gary Myers. And now Glenn Mason at a previously undisclosed location. Can you give us a hint of where you are chatting with us from?
Well, if you leave the Twin Cities and you get on 94 and you go, I don't know, about 3.5 hours, you'd find me. Where do you think that is?
You're back in Fargo, aren't you?
I am in Fargo, and I stopped in KFGO. And, Danny, let me tell you, these people up here think Guardsy is something special. I'm telling you.
Oh, that's
raving
true.
About the guy.
Are you nuts?
They can't get enough Guardsy. I've a couple times thought he was just going to move there at some point.
Well, I'm on. He always says nice things about Fargo, so I figured I'd expand my footprint a little bit and venture up here. And I think I mentioned last week on the show that I passed through Fargo a number of times, but since I spent a little time up here, I love Fargo. I really do. I mentioned last week that I found this little Mexican restaurant, Final Taco, and I loved it. And tonight, after the show, I'm going to go out to a place called The Cork. They have an unbelievable salad bar and the great bread. And I mean, I'm making the rounds. I'm telling you.
Is it possible you might move there?
No.
No, unlikely. Okay.
I wouldn't go that far,
Okay.
but I'm gonna be a frequent sighting around.
Okay.
Here, I would say.
Well,
How's
I'm
that?
just impressed that you made the effort to find a radio station rather than, doing this bit by phone, because it sounds so much better this way. Was that all of your doing? All of your sort of aggressiveness? Initiative?
I unlike you, I listen well. And Guardsy mentioned about KFGO, great people there, and I figured as long as I'm going to be up here, rather than be on the telephone, and my little friend up here has a connection with KFGO. She used to work here, and so made a call. Said, "Yeah, it'd be great if he came in and spent a little time." And it's not quite the same. I mean, this is better to be on the phone, but it's not quite the same when I'm sitting right across the desk from you, looking you in the eye.
In the eye, yeah, it's very intimidating.
No, not you. You're cheap shots, and without me looking at you, I know you kind of get a little bit more courage to take those. So I'm a little hesitant to go, too far.
Well,
hey, I got one thing I got to talk about.
Okay.
Two things.
Right.
Okay? One, your guy Gary Meyer talking about his book. Wait till my football book comes out.
Is it a matter of time? Is it coming?
And I'm working on it in my mind. And it's going to be a little bit unusual. It's not going to be. It's going to be great reading with, I think, a few laughs, and some people might be a little nervous at me writing this book, but that's okay. And number two,
so it's going to be fiction, right? It's going to be a fiction book.
No.
Oh,
fact.
Oh, fact.
I'm
okay.
a fact.
That's right. Yeah.
And number two, every once in a while I get something, as you say, that bothers me, and I got to talk about it. I wonder if any of you guys beside me, when you have a problem with a company and you call up and it's almost impossible to talk to a real person.
Yeah, it is frustrating.
You get this, you get that. And so you lose your patience because time is precious. So you say, you know what? No, it's a simple yes or no answer. So I'm going to go drive and I'm going to go actually to the company. So you go to the company and you walk in, and there's a guy at the front door, and he says, please sign in. I said, wait a minute. I just need a yes or no answer real quick, 2 seconds. And he goes, well, sign in first, and I'll give you the answer. And I said, I don't want to sign in. I want you to say yes or no. I got a simple question. And he wouldn't do it. I couldn't believe it. So then I went back and I would not do it. He went, and I had to say a few things, but you know how that goes. So then I go back. Now I go back on the phone, and it takes me forever to get to a real person. Where they were, I have no idea. Okay, they weren't in the Twin Cities. They weren't in Fargo. I promise you that. And you went through this whole thing. Simple question. The guy goes, "I can help you, but I need to ask you this. I want a yes or no answer." And I said, "I don't want to give you my name, my phone number, my social security number, and all that stuff. It's a simple yes or no question." So the guy hung up on me.
He did?
He hung up on me. So then I dialed again, and we go through all the rigmarole and all that kind of stuff. And finally, after about 15 minutes, I got a real person again. Where he was, I have no idea. And I said, just like this, Dan, I'm going to make this real easy. I just need a yes or no answer to a simple question, and I'll be on my way, and I'll thank you unbelievably. He goes, "What's your question?" And I asked him. He said, "Can I have your name, social security number?" I mean, I
can't make that up.
Huh?
You can't make that up.
No, you can't. I can't. Well, then, I'm going to tell you something. Then I went online, and I read the reviews from this company.
Yeah.
Oh my, I'm not the first one that's dealt with this. It was unbelievable. There wasn't one positive one. So I am not going to talk about which company it is right now. But if it keeps happening, I might have to just disparage them right on KFAN. I'm not about that.
Is it a company you can fire? In other words, whatever service you were getting,
they're fired.
They're fired. Okay, they're done. Yeah.
I will never use them again.
That's not good. Yeah, I guess I'm not surprised, but it's still very disheartening to hear that sort of story. It's unfortunate.
This goes right into the category of backpacks on airplanes.
Yes, right.
Remember that one?
Oh, how could I forget? Are you kidding me?
Remember that one.
I mean, it's... That one you milked for at least 2-3 years.
I milked it. You guys milked it.
We did?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe we milked it. I can't. Somebody did. I'm not sure. By the way, you mentioned Myers, his new book, Brady versus Belichick, the dynasty debate, and it always comes up. All right, is it more about the quarterback or about the coach? Now, I tend to think that even though it looks obvious in this case, it's also often a little more complicated. You've run a football team, so what's fair in terms of these sorts of evaluations? Is it as simple as saying, well, since Brady left, Belichick's done nothing, and Brady went on to win another Super Bowl? Or is it a little bit more, is that a little bit oversimplifying how we sort of look at this kind of debate? What do you think?
Well, first of all, Guardsy could tell you what fair means, and so we don't have to, go into that.
That's where you buy a pig in August.
You got it. That's what fair is. Well, I think it's more complicated than that. I always thought the unbelievable long-term success that they had in New England, besides being a good coach and a good quarterback, it was unbelievable because, in the NFL, if you finish first, you pick last and vice versa. So common sense would tell you, unless you don't know what you're doing, as things go around, sooner or later, the teams that are at the top are probably at the bottom and vice versa. If talent is that important, you get my drift. And I always thought at New England, there was one guy making all the decisions, and that was Belichick. You couldn't even tell you who the general manager is or whoever. You got a feeling if they were going to pick a guy up, it was Belichick. If they're going to let a guy go, it was Belichick. And that ran its course, but for a long, long time. Now, having Tom Brady there obviously didn't hurt. But I don't think it was just one guy or the other. I think it was a perfect storm, a perfect marriage that made it work.
Yeah, I tend to think that's the way those things, because he quotes in the book, Joe Montana apparently gives 75% of his success with Bill Walsh back then in that 49ers run to Walsh, and basically saying, he's the guy running the thing, and I'm just, let me find the precise quote because it's pretty good laying it out. I'm the mailman. I didn't write the letter. All I know is it has to go somewhere else for somebody else. I'll say Montana is being way too self-deprecating because if you deliver the mail the way he did, no matter how good the plan is, and Bill Walsh was an offensive genius, just ask him, then you're doing something right as well, because you can have the greatest play calls. You still have to have somebody who knows how to execute whatever brilliance is out there. And so I think Montana is selling himself a little bit short.
Well, I would agree with you, but I think I think it's a misnomer. You talk about play calling. It was the perfect system for Montana. It wasn't some exotic this play, that play. He fit into that West Coast offense that Bill Walsh really developed with the Cincinnati Bengals when they weren't very good. And he did that because they didn't have much talent. So how could you figure we couldn't run the ball for 3 or 4 yards? How do we pass the ball for 3 or 4 yards? So Montana was a great quarterback and in that system. Now, if you were to take him out of that system and put him into a different system, let's just exchange Brady and Montana. Neither one of them might have been that good if Montana played in the New England system and Brady vice versa.
Right. Mm-hmm. Very true. Who's the best football player you ever recruited out of Fargo? Anybody come to mind?
No, not really.
Not really? Okay.
But the best one out of North Dakota was Greg Esslinger, of which still is a crime. His name isn't up in the in Huntington Bank Stadium. We gave that job to Guardsy a couple of years ago. Some guys can get the job done. Some guys can't.
Guardsy, you want to update us on that effort?
He won
the Outland Trophy. It's the Heisman Trophy for the offensive line. We know.
Excuse me. I was talking. He won the Outland Trophy, the Remington Award, 2-time All-American, great student, great guy. Why and this is not, I don't have any skin in the game anymore. I think it's a crime that you don't represent the modern day great players. You look up there, there's great players at Huntington Bank Stadium. The guys that recruit now, you think they know who those guys are? I don't think so.
Well, I mean, again, I put some of the blame on you too.
Well, sure. I don't care who you blame. Get his name up.
Just get it done. I mean, if you had a greater influence there, I mean, at the University of Minnesota, what has happened to your influence there? What the hell happened?
No, I don't have any influence. But anyway, as long as I'm at it, you have 2 other national award winners.
Yeah.
You got Matt Spaeth, who won the Mackey Award, best tight end in the national award, not a conference. And then Tyrone Carter, who won the Thorpe Award. Do you know, I'm just telling you something, do you know how hard it is to win a national award when you're at the University of Minnesota? Why do you think most of the Outland trophies and all that stuff, they come from Ohio State and Notre Dame and Michigan and Alabama? You don't see them coming from Indiana. You don't see them coming from Minnesota. You don't see them coming from Purdue. It just doesn't happen. So for them to win those awards, they're just that much better. And I think it's a travesty that they're not being honored.
Well, I don't understand, Guardsy. Why
I gave him the update last week. There's been discussions. We're working on it.
Discussions.
Hey, you know what? Get it done, or wave the white flag and let somebody else take the ball and run with it.
Do my Hoosiers have any chance? I mean, they edged Indiana State, I think 73-0 last week. Another one of those games that probably shouldn't even count. Do my Hoosiers have any chance against the highly rated, I think top 10 rated?
Yep.
Fighting Illini of Brett Bielema. What do you think?
Well, it's one of the games that really looking at both 3-0 going in this week. I think most conventional wisdom say, well, Indiana's bubble's going to burst from last year, but who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it. In this game, if Illinois is really a top 10 team, they'll show it. If Indiana ends up coming on tight, everybody will say, you know one thing about Signetti? The guy can back up his talk.
Where is that game, Guardsy? I should know. Is that
Indiana?
It is in Bloomington. Oh, interesting. Okay.
And, they're selling out their games down there against what I would say quality, interesting games, quality are sold out this year. The guy's done a good job as far as that's concerned.
Yeah, I think they sold the arena naming rights this year too. I think it's for 5 years, $50 million deal. Yeah, it's a big change at Indiana. We'll see if it can be sustained. Like you said, that's the question. Always at places like that, but we will see. Gophers are off, as you know, this week, preparing for their first Big Ten game. I don't know how much, if any, you saw the late Gophers Cal game. But you had, I think, Mase, the classic example of, how important special teams are, right? The phenom, Parrish, with just a series of misadventures. I think, fair caught one punt at the 5, and then he let one bounce, then tried to catch it, muffed it, fumbled it, and really that probably changed the game. We learn again that we can argue about offense and defense and play calling and all that. The special teams, when they fail, can literally make the difference if it's a close game.
Especially if it's a turnover.
Yeah.
I did see a large part of that game, a late game. I mean, don't get me going on putting these West teams in the conference. Is there a worse program in the country maybe than UCLA?
Oh.
And now they're in the Big Ten? I mean, wow. It's just, I don't know who makes those decisions. I know who, and so do you. But I started watching that game, but it was so late, I'm not going to watch it. And then I woke up. I was going to get a drink of water, and I said, let me see who won that game. I looked at my phone. I said, it's still in the third quarter. So I put it on, and I watched it. And that punt return fumble, because I thought momentum had all switched to the Gophers by then. I had the feeling to win until he found that ball, and you give them the ball on the 5-yard line, wherever it was. But I'm glad you brought that up because, as you know, I coached for a long time. And there used to be a rule with punt returners that everybody went by. Used to say, put your heels on the 10-yard line and do not back up. Now you see that violated all the time now because punters have become so good at dropping the ball with the backspin or whatever.
That's true.
And guys don't field the ball, let's say on the 5-yard and maybe return it or whatever. And next they get the ball on the 2 or 1 yard line. So I'm not saying it's right, but you see guys violate that all the time. Okay. The second part of a punt return rule always used to be do not let the ball hit the ground. In other words, field it at any cost. But if it does hit the ground, get away from it. Just get away from it and start screaming so everybody else stays away from it. Well, how many times you see the ball hit the ground now and guys end up picking it up and they get a good return and everybody's, oh, that was a great job. It can't be both ways.
No.
If you don't want them to field the ball on the 5-yard line, then you have to say, put your heels on the 10-yard line and don't back up. And the other end, if the ball hits the ground, get away from it. Doesn't matter if you think you can field it and make a return. Get away from it because when you're in that situation and it's live and guys are screaming down there, it's hard to make the correct decision. Discipline.
Let's make this the bottom of the hour pause. Mase in your face, Dateline Fargo this week. I got a couple texts to get into and a couple of other items with Mase Kessler in about 1 hour.
If you missed us at the State Fair, you can shop all of our 2025 fair designs in the KFAN Pro Shop today. You can also be on the lookout for a few brand new variations as well. KFAN.com/store.
Mase in Your Face is back with us from Fargo, brought to you by Jack's Cafe. Are you free? Didn't you recruit Sean Hoffman?
I did. I didn't. He's already on the team.
Oh, he was on the team. Okay.
Yeah. Sean, forgive my memory. I forgot that he was.
I'm not ripping you. I'm just curious.
He was already on the team.
Okay.
And he's one of my truly favorite players that I had at the U.
Why did you like him?
I'm going to tell you exactly why. You talk about tough. But after the first spring I was there, I always used to have a meeting every spring with guys. And he's sitting in my office and going over spring practice and everything, and then give him a projection what I thought going ahead. And I said, Sean, I got to be honest with you. I love you. You're a great kid. You're a tough kid. But I am going to work every day at recruiting nonstop to recruit someone better than you, because you're just not good enough to play linebacker. And I want to tell you, the fire in his eyes, to this day, I'm shocked he didn't come across the table. I'm telling you, and get me. But he just looked at me. And what happened was, I know what he thought. No one will ever beat me out. No one. Well, fast forward, we're playing down in Kinnick Stadium in Iowa, last game of the year, and we needed to win that game to go to the first bowl game in forever for Minnesota. And we had guys falling left and right. I had to take Jack Brewer, who was a wide receiver, and put him in and play defensive back. And Sean, toward the end of the game, he's coming running off the field. His arm was hanging. He hurt his shoulder. And I'm going, no, we have no one else. No one else. And he ran back in. And the next play, Iowa threw the ball. And how he got that right arm up with that bad shoulder and knocked the ball down. And if he didn't, they would have scored. We don't go to a ball game.
Wow.
Things like that you never forget about, guys. Sean Huffman's the best in my book.
So when you made that statement to him, did you believe it, or was that Mase Motivation 101?
No, I believed it. I really did. Yeah. I thought, he might be tough, but he doesn't run real well. And I don't, I was just, and it worked out, I guess that's a risk, because if a guy's really made of the right stuff, it'll motivate him. I guess if he's not, he melts and he withers away. But you better find out right then and there, if he's going to have those intangibles that's going to have him play to a higher level where you can be successful in the Big Ten Conference.
Anything else from the college football weekend just concluded, where again we had I guess a couple interesting games, but a lot of blowout games as well. Anything stuck in your craw or anything catch your eye?
Well, it's amazing how it's a short walk from the penthouse to what, and you look at Clemson right now. Yeah. There's a lot of people calling for Dabo Swinney's head. And you saw what he said. He said, if you don't think I can win, send me on my way. I'll go some other place and coach. That's a little strange. And the guy at Georgia Tech, I really don't know that coach. He's doing an unbelievable job down. If you remember at the end of last year, he lost a game at Georgia that was just a gut wrencher. They played so above their head, it was unbelievable, and could have won the game. But you got a couple teams out there that are hanging around. How about Rutgers? They're 3-0.
Yeah, with Calais McManus.
And they're playing Iowa this week in New Brunswick, New Jersey. A lot of rumblings coming out of Wisconsin. A lot of people aren't happy over there with Luke Fickell. I thought that was going to be a home run hire. And they're playing Maryland this week. That's a surprise, 3-0. And if you're Luke Fickell, you don't want to lose, to Maryland right now. Is Nebraska finally making some headway coming back?
No.
They play Michigan this week. And that's not Michigan losing to Oklahoma. So I don't know. And then I already mentioned Clemson. They're playing Syracuse. They don't want to, they don't want to lose them. And then how about Michigan State's 3-0, but they're playing Southern Cal 3-0 out there. Who knows what's going to happen? And is there a guy on a hotter seat than the guy at Florida?
No, that's true.
And he plays Miami this week, 3-0. So there's a lot of strange things happening real fast, and a lot of college coaches get fired real early in college football nowadays. It just happens. Never used to happen, but it's happening now.
Including, you mentioned Deshaun Foster is out after they got waxed at home in front of like 12 people at the Rose Bowl. Here's my question. 35-10, by the way, was the final score in that game. They lost to New Mexico. So he lasts 15 games. That's the shortest full-time coaching tenure in UCLA history. Here's what's interesting to me. I think of the history of that school, and I go, God, that should be a plum job. That should be a good job. But everybody tells me that other than being in Los Angeles, it's not, that their infrastructure is not very good, that they don't spend as much as they need to spend despite the allure of Southern California, and that it's not going to be that easy to attract an experienced coach. Because I'm thinking, I mean, PJ's name always comes up with UCLA, but there are people who say that's not that good a job now. So how do you view that job, and why has it fallen to the degree that it seems to have?
Well, first of all, I think that UCLA never have had their home stadium. They used to play in the Coliseum, and now they're all the way out in the Rose Bowl. I've not been on their campus for a long time, but when I was at Kansas, I stopped in there a couple of times, and their facilities were terrible, absolutely terrible. Mm-hmm. But they had the palm trees, they had the nice weather, and back in those recruiting days, just like USC, there was so much talent that wanted to stay close to home. They could get their fill there, and they could go anywhere in the country, and guys would go visit. I remember when Terry Donahue was the coach there, he told me one time, guys come, they love it. If there was a rule where the parents could visit the same weekend, he says, I think we get just about every kid, but these kids go back home, right, and the parents, kind of talk them out of it. I don't think the allure of kids around the country right now, especially with every game being on TV, that you think, well, what's so special about going out there to Los Angeles and going to a place where I don't know how far the Rose Bowl is, but it's a pretty good distance.
Yeah, it is.
And if there's traffic, it's a day and a half to get there. Their facilities are terrible. I don't know if they have any problems of getting guys in school or not. Is always a big factor. But a big indicator had to be Chip Kelly leaving a Big Ten head football job to go as an assistant someplace. You had to look between the lines there and say he thought things weren't going to be too good here.
So if you're PJ and UCLA calls, would you be interested? Do you think he should be interested? No. Or on the basis of what you just laid out, you say no?
No. The only reason you'd be interested is with the dangle the carrot that you're thinking about leaving, that maybe Coyle give him another raise. Other than that, he is not going to leave the University of Minnesota to go to UCLA.
Now, I guess the only thing that could change that is whether the people in power finally have figured out what you're articulating and said, all right, we're going to find the money. We are turning over a new leaf. We got to stop pretending we can do this on the cheap just because we've got palm trees. And we're going to spend. We're going to spend on a coach. We're going to spend on infrastructure. We're going to lay all this out. And we got some big fat cat worth several $1 billion who's going to help us out, right? Because there's no reason it couldn't be more appealing as a destination, right? If there was the influx of cash.
But they're way behind.
Yeah, right.
It's not just one shot. Everything's happening. Whatever the schools that are winning do this year, they're going to do something better next year.
Yeah.
And the only thing I would say to PJ or any coach in that situation, if they come and they start talking that, get it in writing. I can tell you, get it in writing. They all talk a good game, and they might do it for the first year, but all of a sudden, second year or third year, and it might be the AD saying that, it might be the president saying that, but ADs don't stay and president don't stay. You get a new administration in, they forget about it. All right. Do you want to do one more short segment since you're on location there? We can keep going after a brief pause, or do you have to go? What's your schedule? No, you're good. I'm yours. Okay, awesome. Yeah, well, I want to be sure. I don't want to take it for granted. I am committed to Dan Barrero, Justin Guard, and your show. You know that. Yeah, okay. I'm in all the way. I should know it by now for sure. All right, one more break. Some other good questions that come in for Mase in your face. Top 5 at 5 yet to come with some Vikings injury updates. And, of course, Kessler will join probably about 5:30. Stay tuned.
Time now for the Vikings Report on The Fan, presented by Miller Lite. Vikings wide receiver Adam Thielen joins Dan Barrero next.
Today at Papa Murphy's, you can join them in supporting Annunciation Catholic School. You order online, use the promo code HOPE. 50% of your purchase goes directly to Annunciation. It's valid at all Minneapolis, Rochester, and Mankato locations. We can come together today and make a difference with Papa John's. Order online. Use the promo code HOPE.
A few more minutes with Mase in your face. Dateline, he is in Fargo. We, of course, are in St. Louis Park in the studios from which he usually joins us as well. What's wrong, writes 612 guy, with Arch Manning? What do you think, Mase?
Well, I don't know if there's anything wrong with him. I think maybe the hype around that guy was ridiculous. I mean, you think before, he really never played. He's got the name. You know, if his name would have been Billy Joe Jones, he probably wouldn't have got that hype. But he's a Manning. His dad is his uncle and his two uncles. They had him as the preseason Heisman Trophy pick. How ridiculous is that? I've always said, this is generic, but I always thought, when things go right, quarterbacks get all the credit, and when things go wrong, they get all the criticism. And then there's probably some place into that, and he's just not very experienced right now. Time will tell. Is he going to be as good as the hype? Time will tell.
In his 27 years at the helm for the Hawkeyes, the longest tenured active head coach in the Football Bowl subdivision, Kirk Ferentz attempted, then attained, the success of his predecessor, Hayden Fry. If reaching Fry's pedestal was daunting, then entering the stratosphere of legendary Ohio State University coach Woody Hayes appeared impossible when Ferentz arrived on campus in 1999. Ferentz is now Big Ten winningest head coach. Will this record ever be broken again?
Wow. I don't think so. I think it's truly amazing that he broke it. Now,
yeah.
We play more games now. Let's face it. So, but the amount of time that he's been at Iowa, which I guess shouldn't be that surprising because, what have they had? Two football coaches since when?
1978.
Think about it.
1978. Two football coaches. Who else does that? And two real good football coaches, obviously Hayden Fry and Kirk Ferentz.
Yeah.
But Iowa is not one of those places that has all the built-in advantages. They don't have a state where there's 30, 40, 50, 60 Division I players coming out every year. Plus, they've got another program in that state, Iowa State, that, is pretty good. I think it's really commendable what Iowa and Kirk Ferentz and Hayden Fry were able to accomplish. And I think Iowa's one of those programs, they know who they are. They realize what they are. And they make the adjustments that they have to do to give the best possible success that they can have. And even though it's been great success, it's not unrealistic success. They don't expect to go, in the old days, go to the Rose Bowl every 3 or 4 years. If they get there every 5 or 10 years, it's great. And that's what it is.
Are you ever coming back from Fargo?
Yeah. In fact, I'm going to tell you, I miss you guys. I really do. It's hard for me to say that, but I think when I get back, I think one of the first things we should do, you, me, and Guardsy, is get Carrie limo and go over to Jack's Cafe for dinner.
Oh, that's not a bad idea. Are you buying?
I didn't say that.
Oh, I see. Well, in fairness, I guess you're the only one of the three of us who's not employed full time. So technically, one of us should buy for you.
I don't think there's any doubt.
Yeah. Although you got big.
Are you not? Hey, let me tell you something. You're the big money guy, right, Guards? I mean, Barrero. Bumper to bumper.
If you're willing to stick with appetizers, I might be willing to bet. If you get full entrees, then I'm not so sure because I know how you eat.
Yeah, no,
you got an appetite.
Hey, I got to ask you guys something.
Okay.
Because I don't, and I mean this here. I watched the Viking game.
Yes,
okay?
I was going to ask you that before we left. Yeah,
I did. I watched the whole Viking game, and then I get up the next day. What happened to McCarthy? I didn't see him injured during that game.
Well,
did I miss something?
Yes and no. I mean, your question is understandable given that well after the injury, which was on a scramble in the third quarter to the sidelines, they retaped him and he stayed in the game. And it wasn't like he was limping noticeably. So I understand the question. The Vikings are insisting this isn't a shadow benching. It's not a convenient injury. He woke up the next day and he had what was, I guess, classified now as a high ankle sprain, expected to be out 2 to 4 weeks. So, I don't know what to make of it. I don't think, like I said, I don't think they're making it up, but you coaches do obfuscate sometimes.
No, don't give me that coaches stuff. I'm going to just give you from my coaching perspective.
Okay. All right.
From my experiences, okay? It has nothing to do with J.J. McCarthy at all. But if we played a game and after the game, before I left, I always got a report from the trainer, okay? And he might say, Billy Jones, he finished the game with this, but, I'm going to have him come in at 7 a.m. the next day for ice or whatever. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, if a guy wasn't on that report, I didn't get the report, but the next day the trainer would say to me, Billy Jones, he's going to be out 3 to 4 weeks with a high ankle sprain, but he finished the game. You know what I would say?
What's that?
Did he fall downstairs last night?
Oh.
Did something happen? Was he out discoing? It just didn't make sense to me. You follow what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I would think if a guy was going to be out 3 or 4 weeks, I don't know how he finished the game. That was just my experience, and maybe this is different.
Yeah, it's a fair point because we all, when the report came down, Monday, I guess it was. That was the curious part. You say, well, guys can be a little bit more hurt than they seemed at the time. What the Vikings seem to be going with is he toughed it out and toughed through it, and then it turns out when he got up the next day, it was worse, although you'd think they would have been treating it all along if indeed there was a problem. So I don't know what to make of it. All I know is he looked dreadful for all 4 quarters of the second game. I thought he looked...
Wait a minute. Hold on a second.
All right.
Okay?
Yeah.
I just took a shot, I guess, at McCarthy. And I'm going to defend him a little bit.
Okay.
Did you see that pass protection in the first half? I think he got sacked 5 times.
He did, but not all those.
I'm going to tell you. I know what happens, especially young quarterbacks.
Yeah.
If you go to throw the football and you got great protection and no one's around you and you have to make your read, your first read, second read, third read, release, you can do it. A couple times you come in and you get hit, you go back there, and as you're trying to make your reads, it's natural. You start reading the protection.
Right.
It's impossible to perform as a quarterback if you're under that type of pressure.
Well, yes and no. You're right, but the alleged analytic stats indicate that through 2 games, he's actually held on to the ball longer than all but one other quarterback in the league, which tells me some of the pressure has to do with him not getting rid of the ball enough. Now, some people think the play calling has made it worse, that there haven't been enough quick passes thrown. We can argue about that, too. In the end, it's not all on him. You're 100% right, but I think it's partly on him. I think in the end, it's a combination of a number of things. They had the bad luck. Darisaw didn't play again, and they lost his replacement, right? And then the center went out with a concussion. So centers are important, as you know, regarding blocking assignments. There's no question. Yeah.
But you might be, I'm not going to argue with holding the ball too long, but there were some times where it didn't matter how, you might have play calling because if it's just a quick pass, it goes. But there's sometimes he dropped back for the intermediate route. He had no chance.
What about this?
Pretty hard.
What about the possibility? It's been known to happen before, and in this town, it's happened a bunch. What if the quarterback whisperer taps into the abundant, once celebrated talent of now a journeyman quarterback named Carson Wentz, and Wentz takes off? It's been known to happen. Can you rule that out?
No, I still remember when Carson Wentz came on the scene with Philadelphia. I mean, they were ringing the Liberty Bell in Philadelphia like you couldn't believe. The guy was great. Except he played so physical. And that's not a criticism. He played so physical. That's what ended up getting hurt. But he's, the whole deal. If you do it once, you might do it again. And who knows? And then he comes off and this week, next week, whatever, and he plays great. You know what we have then? A quarterback controversy.
I would never, and you know me, though, I would never exploit that kind of thing. I mean, I'm way too responsible to exploit a quarterback controversy, Mase.
No, I know that.
I mean, that's beneath me. I would never go down that road. You're in his town.
I know it.
That's the beauty of it. Yeah.
I mean, when he was first with Philadelphia, you remember watching him play? I mean,
yeah, he was dynamic.
Good team and they were on a roll, but he was exciting to watch. And in Philadelphia, those fans, they just loved him.
We're very late, but you're getting ripped. I wanted to give you a chance to respond. This is from 651 guy. An ankle injury is always worse than the next day. This isn't rocket science. When you're taped up and playing on adrenaline, it's good enough to go, but you're not even going to be able to walk the next day. What do you say to that?
This wasn't a pickleball injury, pal.
Mase in your face.
Oh, that's a good line to finish the program.
That's a great walk-off.
Yeah, that's a very good walk-off.
That's a State Fair T-shirt.
It could very well be.
It's not pickleball.
Hey,
it's not pickleball.
I'm glad you brought that up. Where is my package from the State Fair?
You didn't show up.
I offered to come.
Last minute, after every time was booked. That was convenient.
I was available. You like to rip me about not coming to State Fair more than you'd like me to be there.
Yeah, that's probably
We'll get
true.
you a nice care package if and when you ever return from Fargo.
I have a hunch you might not.
I'll be back. And I'm going to tell you, you put it on live air. We come back, we get Carrie Limo, going to Jack's Cafe on Dan Barrero.
There you go. You got it. Thanks, Mase.
Thank you.
Nuts?
Top 5 at 5. What do we got?
The long Vikings injury report and the short list of Twins scouting members that are still on staff.